The bars went wild, eh?
The bars were wild, eh?
They were goddamn. Well, hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello.
Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of the SaVeg Podcast.
SaVeg Podcast. Welcome back, you guys. It feels like it's been forever.
Well, it has been 2 weeks, Rose.
It has been 2 weeks.
Speaking of which,
we've changed our mind again.
I mean, it lasted like 2 weeks.
No, it lasted like a month.
Yeah, probably a month.
We started doing the episodes every 2 weeks in January.
But if you recall, the very beginning of January,
we did
there was too many stories. So we're like, we're going to do this every week and then stopped.
True.
So it's been like 6 weeks.
So we can't stop yapping. So, here's the thing. So one of our dear friends, Tien, hello Tien, if you are listening.
Howdy.
Who's also a Patreon member.
Yes.
FYI.
Yeah.
She has given feedback.
Yes.
And I was also kind of thinking something similar.
Yeah.
Basically, like every 2 weeks, it's just too much time in this, fucked up hellscape that we're in. There's too much news.
And actually, you know what? To that point, especially with everything going on right now with Trump, and we're going to get into it all of it, obviously. I feel like, and we've alluded to this in the podcast, this is like, we're like pre-Handmaid's Tale or like there's a lot of different things like fucking happening right now. Sure. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. And we were just like, you know what? We're going to like restructure a little bit. So we're like talking a bit more and
so basically we're bringing back the weekly episodes.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing every week an episode, but the only difference between this and last year is that one of the weekly episodes will be a Patreon or YouTube exclusive, so members only.
Exactly.
So every week there will be an episode, but one of them is going to be for members only.
Exactly.
Whereas last year we were doing like every week was a public episode, and then on top we did a monthly
exclusive as well. Yeah. So basically, it will mean like if you're publicly watching, you'll get 3 episodes a month, basically or 3 episodes every 4 weeks, exactly. Sort of.
Hopefully that'll make you happy.
Yes. Thank you for the feedback.
Thank you for the feedback. Thanks, Tien.
Yeah.
It does actually help, and I think it would make more sense.
Yeah.
I think it would make me happy.
Yes. Okay. And also it means we get to hang out more too.
Exactly.
So that's great.
And there's just too much to talk about.
There is. And speaking of which, we kind of like alluded to this, but I think, obviously we have YouTube memberships now. Mm-hmm. So if you want to join, get some exclusive content on there, get access to old exclusive content as well, which we're slowly posting and getting live on there as well. So you can join that through YouTube. And then also we have Patreon, patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. Links are always in the show notes, guys.
Yes.
You can join over there. And one of the perks, other than the exclusive episode and all ad-free content, is you also get a shout out, guys.
Yes. And we have 4 new YouTube members.
Yes, we do. Woo! Welcome to the YouTube family, guys.
Yes. So you want to start?
Yes. So I'm first going to say Doricella. Welcome.
And Eka.
Sarah.
And Meow Zoo or Zo, I think.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining our YouTube family, our membership family. Mm-hmm. And shall we start talking?
I think we shall, guys. I mean, there's
a lot of things going on.
There's a lot. So
first we wanted to talk about some of the documentaries.
Oh yeah, let's start on a more like, well, I guess it's not that
it's
light.
Not really light.
I was like, let's start on a light note, guys.
Well, I finally watched By Now, the one that we've been talking about. We did like a full kind of episode on it, I think.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago.
Because you hadn't seen it when
I hadn't seen it, and then it's been on my like, okay, I gotta watch it. But it's like, I feel like with documentaries, I need to be in like a certain mood.
You have to be in that investigative, like,
yes.
I'm invested in this.
Exactly.
I'm ready to learn,
like,
and let's do it.
Like, hi, I just want to dick around and lay on the couch.
And play on my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because then you're going to miss things.
I still did play on my phone because, I live in 2025.
You played on your phone. You had music in the background.
My brain is mush.
I know.
So I can't, you know.
Did you also have your laptop with you?
No, no. I usually just play on my phone and then like maybe eat snacks or something.
But okay, just to that point though, how bad is it? Like, and I'm not just calling you out, Rose, because I do this all the time as well. How bad is it that our attention span, because I never used to do this. I never was that person that was like on my fucking phone, scrolling TikTok, looking at Instagram while I'm watching TV. And the other day I was watching a foreign not docuseries, a foreign show, and you need to read the subtitles.
Yes.
Otherwise you don't know what the fuck it was in, like Swedish or something, right? And I was still on my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then
that's the one thing you have to pay attention.
I know, and then I'd look up and I'm like, oh fuck, and then I'd have to rewind it. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life here? Get off the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing about the foreign movies where you have to read this. And guys, do not come to me with the dubbing bullshit.
Do not.
Unless you have like visual impairment, then I understand.
That's a dating red flag for me.
Oh, if they just do dubbing?
Yes. If they're like, yeah, we love all these like international films, and then I go to their house and they're watching it with English dubbing, it is the worst. Because like, even if it kind of matches the whatever, it's like you need the authenticity of like them. Because I feel like even if you can't understand the language and stuff, you get a little bit of the emotion, the stuff behind the words.
And like so much of acting, I feel like, is how you speak. And even if you don't speak the language, you can kind of feel the acting through the, but if it's dubbed, then it's like, usually, I mean, I'm sure dubbing people are also semi-actor people.
Yeah.
But it's not the same.
No, it's definitely, it's not.
But apparently now with AI is getting so good that it's like really mimicking the person's voice.
Oh, that's interesting.
So now the dubbing's getting like much better.
The issue is going to be the mouth though.
Oh yeah,
because the mouth doesn't match, and that really throws me off, and I hate it.
I know, I don't like it. I don't like the dubbing.
It makes me think of like those like old like Chinese films. When the person would be speaking and it was like dubbed so terribly, and nothing matched, and it was like
old Chinese films.
I can't think of them off the top of my head, but like just like those random films that were like the people were talking and their mouth was still going and there was nothing coming out.
That's actually really interesting because I watched an old Chinese film.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It wasn't even that old. So watched. Oh God, what was it? It's called Ip Man. It's a martial arts. Is that the one you were talking about?
No.
I
was thinking of something else. I was thinking of that crazy movie that you told me to watch.
Which one?
And it was like
a Chinese one.
No, it was a Korean one.
Oh, okay.
And then they did like an English version as well, though. And I can't remember what it was.
Old Boy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So that's a different.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I need to watch that again. That's a cinematic masterpiece,
although
it's very disturbing.
Oh my God, it's so dark but so good.
Ip Man is basically, it's like a martial arts. So it's based on a true story. So Ip Man is apparently this like martial arts dude.
Yeah.
That was like that trained. What's his face? What's the famous?
Jackie Chan?
Not Jackie Chan. What's the other guy?
Oh my God.
Died. What's his fucking name? God damn it! Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Right.
So apparently he like Bruce Lee trained under Ip Man.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was like quite famous in this like martial arts world. So there's like 4 movies that are like Ip Man 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch all of them. But like the first one, they were speaking Chinese though. They were speaking, I think they were speaking
Mandarin?
I think they were speaking Cantonese. But then some parts I was like, are they like it didn't match, but it was weird.
Oh, I hated that. I hate that when it doesn't
I don't
match.
know why though, because it was like I felt, but some parts they did match. So maybe some parts they were speaking like different, because I know there's like multiple, languages within the Chinese umbrella.
Right.
So maybe I don't know. Like I don't understand. Maybe if you guys are Chinese, you can explain this to me. And I remember like making filming a little clip because I was gonna send it to my Chinese friend. So maybe I'll do that after this. I was gonna be like, guys, are they like, what are they? What's happening here?
Yeah,
they're speaking Chinese, but why is it not matching? Anyway, forgot. Well, I watched By Now. Yes.
By Now, yeah.
So
thoughts, Rose?
We fucked.
I know.
So if you don't know, it's a documentary about
consumerism, basically.
Consumerism and extreme, like how extreme it has become.
You know what the thing is, though?
Yeah.
What that documentary made me realize more and more, and guys, do watch it if you have an opportunity.
It's actually a really eye-opening film.
It is. And I think it also helps you, because they do talk about things that we can do as consumers as well. Because part of the problem is, a lot of what that made me realize is, yes, obviously we need to take some responsibility here in terms of like mass consumerism, but a lot of it is driven by corporate greed again, because there was so many policies and things that they'd put in place to turn more of a profit and basically planned obsolescence and all these like making it hard to replace parts and all this shit, to the point where it's like we're literally not even recycling, we're just like onto the next thing in this like perpetual thing that actually is exponentially getting worse.
Yeah.
And that's the scary thing. I think the thing that really I took away from it was just like, holy fuck.
Exactly. So it's kind of like we're always told that, as long as you recycle and you do these things that are responsible, then it'll be fine. But really, and I still believe in some level of personal responsibility.
Yeah.
But I think it is very minuscule compared to what we're doing on a grand scale.
And this, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Exactly.
I can't even think today. I think that's where it's like, we've let these corporations
and
run
governments
like run wild, and it's like, steps do need to be taken. Like there is something wrong, because like think about, I look at cell phones, because that was talked about in the documentary as well.
God, the number of cell phones they were saying that are being
wasn't it like 8
away.
million?
It was like an insane number, and I was like, how is this even possible?
Exactly. It's because constantly, think about it, everybody now every like year or two is getting a new device. Like it's insane. And the thing is, the biggest thing is like, I think about my old cell phone that I used to have, and you used to be able to take the battery out and like put a new battery in and do all this stuff.
More.
You can't do that anymore. Like that should be illegal. Like these are things where it's like, there's, okay, great, we want to buy a new phone, fine, buy a new phone, but we should be able to replace parts if things break and make it last a long time. It's crazy.
I know, it's actually crazy. So anyway, we're not going to get into it again, because we did do an episode on it, but do watch it. It is a good watch, although it is quite concerning.
Yeah.
And it's quite disturbing we've let it get this far.
True. What else have you been watching these days,
Well,
Rose?
we both watched Apple Cider Vinegar.
Yes.
So I already knew, like, did you know about this story?
I knew nothing. I never even heard of this person.
So because I live on the internet, I had already known about the story.
Yeah.
I didn't know that much. I just knew. So basically, it's about this Australian, our favorite accent.
Belle Gibson.
Belle Gibson, an Australian blogger.
Yeah.
I just became British there for a second. A blogger.
Australian blogger.
So basically, it's a dramatization of a real life story.
Yeah.
So obviously, some things have been like fictionalized or whatever. But basically, it's about this girl that became famous in kind of all over. Yeah. Right? She she had a blog, and then she launched this like very famous app.
Yeah.
And
was it like the Whole Food Pantry or something?
The Whole Pantry or something?
Yeah.
And apparently it was like really fucking taken off, and it was huge.
It was like she was going to get, I think she had a partnership with Apple that was going to happen. She had
like a book launch.
Yep.
And the whole premise of her blog and everything and her story was that she had cancer.
Yeah.
And some kind of like brain cancer.
Malignant brain tumor or brain cancer.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah.
And so she basically claimed that she kind of healed her cancer through food.
Yes. Because she said originally, like so I think what really kicked it off is there was a post. Well, there's many posts, but one that they often like quote in this, and like also I watched. There's the Apple Cider Vinegar, and then there's like a 2 episode of the real Belle Gibson as well.
Right.
So I watched that as well.
Oh, the documentary.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, and that's on Netflix as well.
Right.
But they go back to this thing where she said like basically she was given 6 weeks to live by the doctors. Like this is how aggressive her brain tumor was or brain cancer that she had. She's like, I got given 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
6 weeks to live.
6 weeks to live, and I just decided I can't even do it. I can't do it.
No, what happened to your Aussie accent?
I'm broken. And she said through this like whole living and like this clean eating and follow these recipes, and she cured herself, or at least went into remission and was like healthily living. Right?
Yeah. Turns out she never had the cancer.
No, it was all a fucking lie.
Never had the cancer. So it got exposed and everything. And anyway, it's her story. But alongside that story is another story of another. So in the show, I think they called her Mila. Yeah. Right? So alongside that story, there was another story about this other girl who actually had cancer. And she got this like aggressive skin cancer, I think, right?
Yeah, something like this.
And then she also, I don't want to give away too much.
I know.
But it's kind of, so her story is also kind of based on like someone else that's like.
That was connected to kind of Belle, right?
apparently they weren't super connected, but like
they knew of each other.
Yeah, it wasn't as in real life. They weren't as connected as they show in the documentary. That's what I heard, or in the show.
Probably they're just in the same space, right? So they probably like knew. It's like how you know some other YouTubers and things like that. It's like
something like this.
Yeah.
But essentially, she also had cancer. She actually had cancer. Sorry.
Yeah.
She actually had cancer, and then she decided against, or mostly against, traditional cancer treatments, which is, chemotherapy and radiation. So instead she went on this natural route, which I mean, what do you feel about, how do you feel about this whole thing?
So I'll tell you, I think that the problem is, so I don't think, and I do believe that there's some merit to whole living, or not whole living, what do you want to call it? Holistic medicine,
sure.
I guess.
Yeah.
Or kind of watching, certain, I don't even know
your diet, your
diet,
health,
following all of these things. I think there's some merit to it. I think the problem is right now, obviously if you do get diagnosed with cancer, there's limited options right now, unfortunately, and a lot of them are really intense, like chemotherapy, all this stuff. And as we all know, if we know of people that have gone through chemo, it's not an easy treatment. It's crazy. It really makes you sick, all this kind of stuff. But the problem, or not the problem, the thing is that is what we have right now that has been tried and tested, right? What I think the problem with the whole food living and all of this kind of stuff is there's limited studies that have been done. There are some, but I just feel like it's not been substantiated enough in terms of and I think it's a really interesting field. I think there needs to be more research and more things in that space. But I feel like what happens is there's somebody like a Bell or somebody like this becomes famous pushing a certain thing that maybe there has been no real studies for, and it actually is detrimental to that whole food approach or that holistic medicine kind of approach. Again, I think there's some merit to it. I just think that there needs to be more research and more testing done in that area to add credibility to it, to do all of those things. But I do think, because if you think about it logically, if you have high cholesterol is one example, but you have a lot of things going on with your body. A lot of the time, if you change or modify what you're eating, your exercise, all of this sort of thing, you can actually help your body heal itself, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's merit to it. I just think it's sometimes dangerous if there's all of these people on the internet. And this is where you have to be so careful on the internet, right? There's so many of these influencers that are push, and it's the same with when you look at fitness and all this kind of stuff, right? Pushing all these certain diets and workouts that maybe there hasn't been any studies done. And
they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Exactly. So I think that's where the problem is. There's not enough credible research and people in that industry talking about or looking at certain alternatives. What about, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a few layers to it, right? So I think one of the problems with Western medicine and the way that we do, medical treatments and whatever, is the fact that everything else, first of all, doctors don't get enough nutrition training. Yeah. They get literally none. They get maybe one class. Yeah. And then also they aren't taught to heal people. It's more so, oh, okay, you have diabetes. Here's your diabetes medication. Yeah. Oh, you have this. Oh, here's this medication. It's very much pharmaceutical driven. Yes. So I do think there's a reason why the holistic stuff, even if there's no scientific proof, there's a reason why that stuff has been thriving. And all the pseudoscience might be thriving. And some of it is potentially scientific. We just don't have the science.
Exactly.
So when you have a system that, kind of just puts a Band-Aid on, your illness and just says, oh, you have cancer. Oh, the only option ever is chemo. Let's not even talk about your nutrition. Let's not even and there's nothing wrong with being okay, maybe we can do chemo and surgery, but also let's talk about maybe lifestyle choices that you've been making that may have contributed. Exactly. So it's even in the show, it's when you talk to the doctors in the show, in Apple Cider Vinegar, the doctors are basically well, the only other option is death or chemo. Yeah. That's it. There's nothing else. And this one other doctor was oh, yeah, none of that holistic stuff ever works. But that's not actually true, is it? Yeah. Because there are people that have and of course, we don't want to base their anecdotal experience on and give that as medical advice. Yeah. But there are plenty of people that have reversed or completely cured their cancer through maybe a little bit of traditional scientific methodologies, but also their diet.
I know, and that's why I think honestly, like very rarely, because even like when my family members, there's been a few things that have happened and the doctors are right away like, this is, you can get this machine or this XY thing, and it's like, well, what about other factors, right? And I think you're right. I think especially in the States, like I mean everywhere, but like very much so in the States, because obviously it's like a profit driven industry. They're like, oh, you have severe diabetes, you're overweight, you're all this other stuff. Well, here's diabetes medication. See you. Here's your prescription. You have a
customer for life.
Exactly. Now the pharmaceutical company has a customer. Instead of being like, okay, we'll give you this medication because you do need it because you're suffering, but let's look at your lifestyle. Let's look at some other things as well. And we can try to work together to come up with a plan to not only address your symptoms, but get to the root of the problem and make it better. Right. Like, so I do think there's so much merit there. And I think, because if you think about it, our bodies are so intricate and interesting. Like, for example, like, and it's all interlinked. Like what you're eating, what you're putting into your body is your fuel for all of your cells and everything. So, if you're putting in shit into your body, then it makes sense that you could be more likely to get cancer. And, if you're not changing that, maybe the cancer is going to thrive. So I think there's a lot of merit to our lifestyles in general, right?
But then it's so interesting because then you have the other side, which is also predatory and fucked up, which is so basically the apple cider vinegar shows this fictitious holistic cancer treatment center.
Oh yeah.
And they call it what do they call it?
Is it the one that's in South America?
Yes, it's in like Mexico. Yeah. But basically they modeled it after Gerson therapy, which I've heard of, and I don't know if they still exist. So Gerson therapy is like literally that exact same thing, where basically they claim to heal people's cancer, people's diseases by, and this is why I hate when people talk about veganism with like this health message, because I feel like people do this thing where it's like, oh, follow this raw vegan juicing diet and heal everything. Yeah. So then vegans get this reputation of, oh, they just don't believe in any science and they're just a bunch of hippies.
Exactly. Let's not get started about the coffee enemas.
Oh my God. And they do shit like that. So it's like,
how many have you done today?
0.
I'm on my 3rd. That's why I'm buzzed, guys.
But it's like, none of it's scientific.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, I believe that you following, obviously eating healthy, that couldn't hurt.
Exactly.
But, you can't claim that it cures cancer when you have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. And I think that's why this is why I do think that this space is so interesting. And I think there's so much potential within that space. What's missing though is where I feel like we have too much stuff in this space is people trying to make a quick buck and taking advantage of sick individuals, people that aren't doing
this
well.
Is the problem.
Yeah. Capitalism.
And even those people that pretend that they are not part of the capitalist system because they're like, oh, those doctors, they don't want to talk about this black salve.
Oh yeah.
Because it's going to kill the cancer industry. Yeah. But then they're charging $1 for that too. And the biggest thing was when this other girl that's in the show.
I love this moment. I love it.
She goes to this I don't know, some kind of hippie ass
wellness resort
retreat in the middle of the mountains, and they're sleeping on cots and fucking eating natural medicine,
magic mushrooms,
and everyone's getting high on shrooms or whatever the fuck kind of medicine they're giving them. Yeah. And she's like, oh my gosh, she has this out of body, extremely high hypnotic experience. And then afterwards the lady, she's very, very soft spoken. She's like, oh, did you have a wonderful experience? And then the girl's like, oh yes,
it's been a spiritual journey.
It's been such a spiritual journey. It's been amazing. Yeah. And the lady's like, would you like to stay another week? And she's like, yes, please. She's like, oh yes, have a seat. Oh, here's the debit machine.
I know, literally, would
you like to pay by card? And it's they're in the middle of the forest.
I know, but I think that that's so beautifully done though, because it showcases this emphasis of what is wrong in that subset of the industry.
And I think it also shows that no matter what in this world and in this capitalist system that we live in, you can't escape the capitalism.
You can't.
So no matter what, no matter how much you try, you can't really escape it because you got to make the buck. Anyways, great series.
Yeah.
Very good acting. Wanted to kill that girl. So.
Oh my God.
Very good acting. That girl's American, hey?
Is she? Well,
she nailed that Australian
She
accent.
really did. And she's actually really good. I've seen her and there's another show.
She made me hate her so much. So she did a great job.
She did. But there's another show that she's in that she's really good. It's called Unbelievable.
Okay.
And it's based on a true story as well. I think it is.
What's it about?
So it's about this girl who goes to the police and says that there was this person that broke into her house and raped her.
Oh God.
And then the police, like, because she was a foster child and she was in and out of homes and she kind of had a bit of a tumultuous
So they think
upbringing.
she's lying?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's all about that. And it's actually it's a good little series. Like, yeah, but it's dark.
Damn.
But
anyways.
Watch Apple Cider Vinegar.
Yeah.
God damn.
Anyway, should we get into the story?
I think we should. So that's what we've been watching.
I'm currently watching, I'm almost done, the Gabby Petito one.
Oh yeah, I watched that too.
Oh, so sad.
It's like, it's so messed up on so many levels.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
yeah, she was like a little kid.
I know.
So sad.
And she's like trying to start her little blog, her like hashtag van life. Oh my God, guys.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
Anyways.
Okay. Let's talk about some more fun and depressing story. Well, actually, no, this story is kind of fun. Well, it's not fun, but it's a kind of a poke at the US right now. So
right now, I don't know if you guys are aware, because like, we're in Canada, so we see things from a different lens.
Yes.
First of all, we beat the Americans.
Oh yeah, in the
hockey game, which neither of us ever pay attention to ever until this moment.
Yeah. It was called the Four Nations. Yeah.
So it was a beautiful moment because the first one where they were playing against where Canada was against the States, Canada lost.
Oh.
So then we were like, fuck.
Yeah.
This fucking sucks. Because right now it's more than just a hockey game. It's more than just hockey.
It's representative of like what's going on right now.
Pride.
Exactly.
So everyone's feeling very extra Canadian at this
They are.
At this time. So then the final was Canada versus US.
Yeah.
And it was very fucking intense.
Well,
what a game.
Oh my God, it was such a good game. And in the end, it was like tied. So then they went into overtime and it got crazy.
And then Canada scored the winning goal.
The bars went wild, eh?
The bars were wild, eh?
They were goddamn. Well, goddamn.
That's Southern.
Southern, that he is.
But yeah, that was a very, very beautiful moment. And then the goalie, like our Canadian goalie. I have never seen someone block goals that much. Like their life fucking depended on it. That guy like deserves all the medals.
Exactly. I think it was literally, he was like, we need to fucking win this game because of everything going on. The political environment. And I think the problem, or why obviously everyone knows about Donald Trump and these fucking tariffs and all this shit that he's proposing, which is honestly going to rock. Like, not rock in a good way. I mean, in a bad way. It's going to fucking rock our economy in a really bad way. It's going to fuck it up for us. It's going to fuck it up for the US, to be honest, because of all their other trading partners, for Mexico, for China. To be honest, a lot of different countries will be impacted by this. And I love that, like, the Canadians, I mean, everything's still up in the air, right? We still don't know about what's going to fucking happen with these tariffs. But in Canada, the Canadians have said, you know what? Fuck you, Donald Trump. We've had it. I know the tariffs haven't necessarily come into play exactly, except for the one on steel, I think.
I don't really know what's going on with the tariffs.
Yeah, but Canadians have decided, regardless if the tariffs are coming in or not yet, is we're literally going to focus on buying products that are either Canadian made or not from the US, basically.
Yes.
So basically boycotting.
It has become like a movement.
It's huge.
Now when I shop for groceries or whatever, there's always like a sign, like a Canadian flag.
Yeah.
When I'm buying certain things. And also, apparently people have been canceling their US trips.
Yes. So I'll tell you guys something interesting here. So first, about the grocery stores. So I didn't realize how widespread this was, right? Because I saw some TikToks and whatever else. I went grocery shopping on Sunday, guys. I'm not kidding. When there's now the grocery stores, which I think is kind of cute, they put Canadian flags. Like at all the stuff that's like sourced in Canada, from Canada, all that sort of thing. And wherever there's Canadian products, that's where people are shopping. And then where there's
Nice.
where you could see like, if you know that, or if you knew something's in the US, or if you look at the back and it's in the US, those shelves are fucking full. Like
Really?
people are not touching this stuff. And like, it's funny because on Sunday when I did my groceries, I actually made a conscious effort myself.
Right.
Where I was like, okay, like for example.
I know, me too. I mean, I still sometimes if I have to.
Yeah.
But I try to buy the Canadian stuff.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Like onions, a lot of onions are from the US, but we also have some from Canada. I was like, fuck it.
I'll buy some from Mexico.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Yeah. So I really hope that this does make some meaningful impact to the US in terms of like the fact that, you know, we are being like, you know what? We're going to start hitting you where it counts, which is your wallet.
Well, this just fucking sucks because, like, it's not like the U.S. citizens necessarily want this to happen either.
No. And the same with the U.S. companies.
For fucking everybody.
Imagine you're not maybe not a startup, but maybe you're a small mid-sized company out of the US, and you know one of your big markets is Canada where you sell a lot of your product, and now it's getting boycotted because of your fucking president. So, and then the flights which you mentioned. So I read a stat and I don't know, I can't remember, I don't see it here anywhere, but
let me see if I can find an article.
They mentioned, I think it was that WestJet or one of these companies was like, there was a 25% cancellation.
Oh yes, I found it. Canadians are mad as hell.
Yeah.
Canadians cancel U.S. travel en masse as trade war escalates.
Yeah.
So it says Canadians are canceling their American vacations as the next front in the U.S.-Canada trade war, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So this could cost the American economy $2.1 billion and 14,000 jobs. And then it says, let's see here. I think it said something about 25% earlier.
Yeah, I think it was like around, they've seen a reduction or like a cancellation.
Or maybe that's just the 25 tariff.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see. Anyway.
Either way, the Canadians were, and it's funny because I've been seeing like blogs and stuff of people, not blogs, but like comments and everything. And everyone's like, yeah, I was going to go to the US, canceled, going to Europe now. So excited to go to Spain and all these other places. So actually other countries are going to benefit because now a lot of our travelers are going to say, you know what? We're going elsewhere.
I think the only way to like really fight against it is like, if the other countries work together to then create their own trade benefits or whatnot.
This is the thing. The reality is in Canada, if these tariffs go through and if they detrimentally impact our economy and there are a lot of our exports, we are naturally going to have to find new suppliers, right? We're going to have to find, trade with China, all these other things. The problem is it doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. So there's going to be a period of time, which sometimes these negotiations can take, a long time. You got to get a trade route going. And there are some, whatever, but it will take time. And the problem is during that time, there's probably going to be job losses. There's going to be companies that were doing really well that are going to have severe impacts on profits. So there'll be a really bumpy period of time before it starts to come back.
God.
But people are saying because the U.S. is doing this to Mexico, to China, to a lesser degree, because I think it's only a 10% tariff to them, to us, what they're doing is they're obviously pissing off their trading partners. Yeah. So even if the tariffs don't go through, this has been a wake-up call for a lot of these countries that rely so heavily on the U.S. to be like, we need to diversify now.
Yeah.
We need to start looking at, so even if Trump decides, actually, you know what, Canada, we're going to leave it. We're not going to do tariffs. Suppliers now got so scared that they're going to be like, let's start looking elsewhere. And maybe they're still...
It's too volatile.
Exactly. It's too much to have like all your stuff. And especially if you think about it, like we're in Alberta, a big export for us is oil. Well, oil is a huge resource that's required all over the world. Like it doesn't have to go to the US. China probably has huge oil demands. India probably has huge oil. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so these are other places where we can maybe negotiate and figure out where, or even in Europe, especially with like everything going on with Russia and Ukraine and like, because they were getting a lot of their oil and gas from Russia.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like opportunities, but it's like, it will take time to get there.
Yeah.
And then it will be naturally job loss and an economic downturn.
Oh God.
So we fucked.
So the other day there was the conservatives of the United States. They had some sort of thing called CPAC, conservative. Let me find it. And I have to show you this video because I don't think you've seen it. Let's see. CPAC, I think. Conservative Political Action Committee. So they like meet up and they suck each other off. And, they're all like, oh, you're the master of the universe. No, you're the master of the universe. Trump is the master of the universe.
Elon Musk.
Trump.
Elon Musk is the master of the universe.
So Elon Musk was there, of course.
Of course he was.
And apparently the dude like takes ketamine or whatever, like K.
Oh, like microdose.
doesn't seem like a microdose to me.
It was a megadose.
He looks high as balls. Let me show you.
Damn.
And he just made an absolute fool of himself. I just have to show you this video because he looks like, and I was like reading some comments because it was hilarious. He literally looks like a teenager trying to be cool. You will see exactly what I mean.
Okay.
This is supposed to be a smart man, FYI. And this is the richest man in the world, FYI.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't even watch it. It's so bad.
What, and when did the left say that they're going to ban fucking
Nobody
comedy?
said that. And does he think that's funny? Because goddamn, if that's comedy, ban it.
How are people so fucking delusional?
He is actually, I was just like, even if I was like on the right,
Yeah.
that would embarrass me.
Yes. Well, and the fact that Trump is the president as well, and that they're fucking in bed together, sucking each other off.
Yeah.
And this is another thing too, which has come up a lot lately in a lot of like TikToks and articles and all this stuff too, is and I watched this one good TikTok. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how Elon Musk, like we all know this, but like the government is not for the people in a sense that like it's really ran by the oligarchies, the super wealthy.
Yeah.
And we all kind of knew this already, and like all the policies that are getting in place, all this shit. But with the fact that Elon is so close to everything that's going on, is at the White House, like is at these fucking rallies, all this shit, it almost like re-emphasizes that to the public to be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it's like becoming more obvious.
Yeah, because it's like, why is he there? Like he's a private citizen. Like what is he doing?
And he's cutting a lot of funding for example, like a lot of social security funding, a lot of veteran, like a lot of people that, maybe they're not getting paid their, I don't know, like their welfare stuff, like just things that they were supposed to get paid. Yeah. They're not getting paid. And apparently the other day, like literally yesterday, he sent out some sort of tweet, fucking literally like, is this a child? Anyway, he sent out a tweet being like, oh, if you are a government worker, please send your supervisor an email within 48 hours detailing what you worked on last week. Otherwise, you will be fired.
Terminated.
It's like, what? Are you my boss, bitch?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, and this is a funny thing, too. It's like Trump's whole platform is talking about how he wants to create jobs for America.
Nope. Exactly.
But like, and the thing is, the ironic thing is, because he's always like, that's his whole theory behind the tariffs as well, is they're bringing jobs to America because, they're going to do stuff in America.
God.
At the same time, though, I heard while he's been president, there's been like huge government layoffs.
Exactly.
So it's like all of those people, do they not matter? Like they've all lost their job now. So
I know it's
like,
kind of a mess. In a way, I feel like hopefully because it's so bad and they're doing it so out in the open. Yeah. Like hopefully people will kind of
wake up to it.
Wake up to the corruption.
Yeah. But that's why I wonder if something big is going to happen, like maybe because of all this shit hitting the fan, but I doubt it, that they'll like overturn him or something.
Well, like if there was ever a time for a revolution, it's now.
But the crazy thing is, this is the thing that really blows my mind, is a lot, not all, but a lot of the Trump supporters are so delusional and believe everything. So they might think like they'll just follow whatever he does blindly.
Plenty of people are believing. Yeah. So plenty of people are like, oh yeah, because basically their whole shtick right now as to why Elon is in there is, oh, he's getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse or something like this. And it's like, well, you don't have the authority to do that, first of all. Like a lot of people are pointing out that it's like illegal for him to even be there in the first place. Yeah. Going through government documents, going through like
what? He's not a government official.
Exactly. Nobody elected this man.
Exactly. Like, get out of there. That's not your job.
Yes. But some people are just like, oh, he's getting rid of waste and fraud. It's a great thing. It's like, no. Yeah.
It's just so messed up. And it's ironic because all these people that like, a lot of people that have voted for Trump, they're like, maybe they're impacted because of cost of living going up, and they're impacted because they have loved ones that lost their job. So all
or
of his
getting deported.
Exactly. And he's like, it's like they bought into his promises, and even if the prices of things go up, they're still going to just keep following him blindly.
Some people have kind of opened up once it impacts them directly. Yeah. Some of them have been like, oh, of course, because it has to impact them directly. Otherwise it's not real, right? Yes. So some people have become like, not so happy. Yeah. But I think some people are like, they're just going to blindly follow.
You know what I would love to see happen while this Trump presidency is going on, while he's pissing everybody off? Because it's funny, I'll see this in like the memes or like in the, comments. And I know this is just people, but, people were like talking about the Canadian boycott of U.S. goods. And they're like, so many people commenting from different countries being like, Europe's behind you, Canada, all this other stuff is behind you. So what I would like to see happen is like, because of his fucking behavior, we again just like diversify and start really strengthening those relationships with other countries.
Yes.
And kind of just cut them out. Just be like, you know what?
I know.
The problem is they're such a big economy, so it's like really hard to do that. They're the largest.
And they have such military power, and they're not afraid to use it.
I know, that's another
this
scary
is my
thing.
Fear, right? Because they have so much military budget and money or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And they have they spend so much on military, and they have such a big population.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the scary part.
Yeah. Like if they wanted to overrun us, we'd be fucked.
But then there's countries that have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
So we could be like, hey, warm up to the countries with their nuclear weapons.
Yeah, this is very true. But
those are the countries they don't touch.
Yeah.
When there's nuclear weapons involved.
This is true. So I don't know. It's getting crazy. Like it's actually like starting to. I mean, it's not starting to. It's been. And you know the crazy thing?
It's been a month.
I know. He's
been president for like a month.
A month and 3 days.
Is that actually for real?
It's. I don't even know.
That's insane. Like, it feels like it's been 6 months already.
I know. And it's been a month.
The amount that has happened. Anyway, other crazy news.
Yes.
Plane flips upside down in Toronto.
Did you see the footage?
I watched the footage.
Fuck.
The biggest thing is, how the fuck did everyone survive that shit?
I know.
What the fuck is going on there?
So I think, and I can't remember exactly why, but Toronto's also like that part of Eastern Canada right now, or
it's quite snowy.
But they've been getting so much snow, like just snow on top of snow on top of snow. So obviously that impacts like landing and all this other shit.
But also like we have had snow. Like this is Canada.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's a
ain't
lot.
Texas. I know we've had a lot of snow.
True.
Toronto's never been known to be warm.
That's true.
It's a cold place with a lot of snow.
Yeah.
We're kind of usually very well equipped for snow.
Yeah.
Or I've never heard of a plane flipping.
So
okay.
Rose, if this was your experience, okay? If you were taking a flight and you were coming back to Calgary, you're landing onto the tarmac and the plane does exactly what this plane does, when are you getting on your next flight? Because it looks scary as fuck, guys.
The thing is though, I've never been in that situation.
I don't
think I could get on a flight for a long time.
No, it would be a while. Because
that is so fucking scary.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a miracle everyone survived.
Yeah.
Luckily it didn't blow up or anything.
Yeah, basically it came down.
And then
it hit the runway.
It was sliding.
Yeah, it slid and then it's kind of like lost control and then flipped on top of itself. And it was like, and then it skidded. And of course, when things skid, there's friction, there's sparks, there's flames, there's all sorts of shit. And people were hanging upside down in their seats.
Some of the 80 people on board were then left hanging upside down while still strapped to their seats before they scrambled over luggage to escape onto the snowy runway. No one died in the incident, which is under investigation because people are like, how the fuck did nobody die? Analysts have suggested the harsh winter weather may be to blame or that the plane landed badly. They've also credited the plane's safety features with saving lives. Okay, so
I wonder if it was a Boeing plane.
I don't know. It says it was a model CRJ 900 plane.
We should look it up if it's Boeing.
But then they're saying they're crediting it.
I know, that's why I'm wondering if it was them, because Boeing did all those like safety cuts and all that stuff. Maybe it's a different. Maybe
Delta. Wait, hold on. It's a
Bombardier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, fucking hell.
I know.
It's kind of scary. Like it's happening. I do wonder. Like, is it happening more, or are we just talking about it more
and hearing about it more? I don't know. It just because. Obviously we were all around or heard about when the information came out about Boeing about how they're like trying to.
Yeah, I do think it's happening more.
I think it is because they're trying to get bigger profits and they're cutting safety protocols because we're having like doors flying off planes. Yeah. We're having planes going missing. We're having planes fucking landing on runways and fucking flipping.
Yeah.
But this one we don't know for sure if it's like the plane related because it sounds like the safety.
We don't know if it's the plane. we don't know. We have no idea, right?
Yeah.
Like we could blame whatever, but like at least everybody survived.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
And I do feel like you're right. I feel like these incidents seem to be increasing in
maybe more people are flying. I'm just trying to be hopeful here.
Yeah.
But I have heard, like, I remember I was talking to my friend that's a flight attendant, and I talked to her like a couple years ago about this, and she was saying that from her experience, she works for Air Canada.
Yeah.
And she said that they've definitely lowered the kind of not qualifications, but the standards when it comes to hiring and training. And so it was a little bit concerning to hear that, because you're just like, okay.
Well, and I would imagine, again, pardon me, I don't know if this is what they're doing as well. I could be wrong here, guys, but I would imagine they're also maybe like cutting
definitely
like cutting
costs.
Cutting costs. And like in doing so, like maybe they have less people on the plane, like less staff.
Yes.
Maybe there's less time between turnarounds before a pilot has to refly another plane because they want to make more money. Maybe there's like all of these little things
that we don't realize is probably impacting the safety of the plane.
Exactly. So maybe on average, pilots are more tired because they're overworked more.
Exactly. I think these are factors.
Yeah.
They're definite factors. And then like we talked about, I think last time, basically like these air traffic controllers, there's not enough in a lot of airports.
Well, they were saying, again, not ironically, but like that whole thing that happened in the US when Trump was blaming like DEI, when it was like he'd given an order just like a couple weeks before to like fire a bunch of air traffic controllers. So the ones that were there are overworked and more stressed. And obviously, if you're understaffed, overworked, what's going to naturally happen? It's human nature. We can't help it. We're going to make more mistakes. Like, that's just the reality of it. God damn.
Oh, yeah. Fun times. We're getting on a flight in less than 2 weeks.
Oh, God, Rose.
Should be okay. Yay.
We'll be fine, hopefully.
Still, guys, I don't want to fearmonger. It is still much safer than any other form of transport.
This is very true. And you can't, you know what, at the end of the day, life is short and we can't live it in fear
of
all
something
the time.
Potentially happening.
Yeah, because if that's the case, you wouldn't leave your house.
But goddamn, how unlucky do you have to be to get into a fucking,
I know,
plane crash?
Fucking hell.
Anyway, interesting news out of London, England.
London. Good old London.
Apparently, so this was buried in the news because so much has been fucking happening.
Yes.
And because, I mean, this story is about 1 million years old.
Yes.
But apparently historian has discovered Jack the Ripper's real identity. And
dun, dun, dun.
And he says that it is 100% him. So Jack the Ripper, if you guys haven't heard, was a serial killer in London in the 1880s, and he has never been identified.
Never. But I mean, the reality is, back then, even back like 40 years ago, it was a lot. I feel like it's gotten harder now to be a serial killer.
Oh, way harder.
Yeah, because of like DNA, because of like...
The technology has improved significantly.
Technology, because we all have phones with us all the time.
Yes, tracking.
All this kind of stuff. So it's like really... Like, yes, you could probably kill a couple people, but I feel like you couldn't be like a prolific serial killer very easily. Like, it would take a lot.
Maybe that's why the whole like mass shooting thing became so popular.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I can't kill people quietly.
Yeah.
I can't kill a bunch of people, not in the numbers that I want, slowly.
Yeah.
So let me just fucking, mass shoot everybody.
It's crazy because this story is like, he was this serial killer in like the 1880s.
But you know what pisses me off?
What's that?
The way that we give these... Oh, it's my dishwasher. Sorry, guys. Something's making noise, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Like, what? Do we need to evacuate the building?
Anyway, I do think it has become much harder to be a serial killer nowadays, which is great.
That's a good thing.
Wonderful thing. But, so yeah, apparently... Would you like to read this?
I know. Well, I'm just saying, it's saying that this... So there was an infamous killer, obviously, in London. So they're saying... that they were able to do a DNA match. Basically, there was a shawl that was found at one of the murder scenes of Catherine Eddowes.
How are they able to do it now, though? It seems kind of weird.
No, I think they can do they can pull DNA from like really old stuff.
I know, but why did they do it before? Okay, well, let's read this.
Yeah.
So it says essentially, so historian Russell Edwards was the one that discovered this apparently. And he identified Jack the Ripper as Aaron Kosminski.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is what I was saying. Sorry, before we got distracted.
Yeah.
I don't like that they give these serial killers
Like notoriety.
Not even just notoriety, but these really cool sounding names.
Yes.
Like Jack the Ripper,
Yeah.
the something slayer, the
Yeah.
the night crawler. Like
Yeah.
it makes it sound like they're fucking
Like a superhero or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's actually so fucked if you think about it. It's like, why don't we call them like something like fucking loserish? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Like Jack the Loser.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like something stupid
Yeah.
that, you know, you wouldn't want to be associated with it. But like
True.
Jack the Ripper, the fucking, there's so many.
Green River Killer.
Exactly. The something slayer,
Yeah.
and it's just like, holy shit. Like what's wrong with you people?
Exactly.
Anyway, so
So it's I guess this person tested some DNA found on a shawl that was found at the scene of one of the victims. So obviously that's been preserved, the shawl, and he did DNA testing. I don't know how he thought of or got in touch with this like family and did the DNA with a family member.
let's see here.
Yeah.
So apparently, Edwards, this historian, in 2007, bought a shawl that was found at the scene of the murder of Catherine Eddowes, or whoever this victim is.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of fucked.
That seems more sketchy as we're reading this.
And
He
then
bought it.
he tested the shawl using the DNA provided by Kosminski's oldest brother's great-great-granddaughter. So,
Yeah.
okay. So Kosminski, who was a Polish immigrant, became a barber in Whitechapel, England, and was in a mental health facility with schizophrenia at the time of his death in 1919. So, yeah, I don't know how accurate this is.
I know. I'm like, what? He just bought this shawl? Like,
That's also kind of weird.
Who did he buy the shawl from? How do we know that it was actually at the murder scene? Like, this is a little bit.
You don't believe it?
Well, it's not that I don't believe it. I just like I'm not entirely sure where the shawl came from. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think people are skeptical.
Yeah.
Not that it really matters now because, you know, everybody involved is, you know, gone.
Yeah.
It's like but people have been trying to find who this guy was for a very long time.
Exactly. It's been like a wild goose chase. Listen to this. This is my exact point. Okay. The shawl that was used for testing was not preserved as evidence all of these years. What about all the people that touched or came into contact with this item?
Yeah, that's true.
In the 137 years between the date of the murder, and the date that it was tested.
Yeah, you can't just like buy a shawl and then just test it out for DNA.
Exactly. The information just isn't there in the science to be able to show exactly when the DNA was deposited and by whom. So I think that like...
So it's probably fake.
It's loose. It's loose at best.
Like, if it's fake, then this poor guy.
I know. If they had like preserved evidence that was like properly sealed and all this other stuff, I might be more believing of this. I might be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
The fact that he like bought it, it sounds like it wasn't preserved. He's
not even a police officer.
Exactly. Imagine how much people have touched something over 137 years.
It's true.
God, my DNA might even fucking be on there. Okay, like let's get real here.
Anyway, I mean, I guess we don't know yet who Jack the Ripper is.
I mean, maybe more to come on this. Maybe there's more pieces of evidence that could be genetically tested.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or we should just move on.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe we'll just have to, unfortunately, for all the families that were impacted, I mean, it's...
Yeah.
You know what? There's still people. There's so many like missing persons and cases of unsolved mysteries.
So many.
Unfortunately, sometimes that's the reality of it. I do feel like we said, it's less likely to happen nowadays.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the cases, when something happens now, generally, eventually they find the person.
Is that true?
I feel like kind of.
Sometimes it's a lot of things are still unsolved.
That's true.
A lot of things are unsolved.
Yeah.
But it's definitely easier to find people now because DNA evidence is quite significant.
Yeah.
But
and it's quite reliable for stuff now.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, think about all of even the famous cases that are very like, you know, not guilty.
Yeah.
You know, fucking OJ Simpson. Goddamn.
I still have to watch that.
You haven't watched it? Were we supposed to do a deep dive?
We're gonna do a deep dive. I'm one episode in. I think there's like 3 episodes, right? Or 6 maybe.
I think there's more than 3. I think there's like 6.
Okay, well.
Watch it, Daniel.
I will.
God damn, we got to discuss the OJ Simpson case, although people probably don't want to hear about it.
Maybe that be next week when we record.
Can we talk about how boring Love is Blind is?
Oh my God.
Guys, I think we have to end the tradition this year.
I know. It's honestly, so I've been trying to go strong, okay? I watched, because you know how they release it in like, I don't know, 5 or 6 episode or chunks?
Yeah.
So the first group was only in the pods.
For like 6 episodes.
I know. I'm like, I don't understand how we are still in the motherfucking pods. It blew my mind.
So, well, here's the thing. I went to my friend's house because my friend was having a Love is Blind viewing party.
Yeah.
So I was like, great, it's going to be so much fun. So we all sat there and we're like watching, and it was so boring that I think after the first episode, we started just fast forwarding.
Yeah.
And it was a constant fast forward until I think we got to like the end of episode 4. We're like, how are they still in the pods?
I know. And it's crazy because also like normally, not that there has to be drama, but like it's a show, you know, it's a TV show. Like there should be fucking drama in there. And the funny thing is like, even when they go to the like, so I watched the next chunk of episodes that came out. Yeah. So that was like,
okay. So how many episodes you watched?
I don't know. I think maybe like 10.
I'm amazed.
I know. I am too.
Okay.
Believe me, I was on my phone the whole time because I was bored out of my fucking mind. All of the couples, like again, no like shade to them or whatever, but all the couples are so dry and boring. Nothing really happens. I'm just like,
how did they fuck up the casting so bad?
I know, and I think because normally there's always that like unhinged couple that you're like, okay, I need to see what's happening here, and it's I feel like because it's been so boring, the producers or something have like thrown in random things, because like there was one couple that seemed really good. And then all of a sudden,
fighting.
Yeah, all of a sudden, randomly, she finds a video of like some girl on TikTok crying about this guy that she's with, and he's like, yeah, we dated like 5 years ago and never saw her again, blah blah blah. And she's like, you're lying. And anyway, like, and that was like that was pretty much it.
I can't do it, you guys. I can't watch it. It's so boring.
And the only other drama too, I mean, you're probably not going to watch it.
No, I'm not going to watch it.
But there's a couple that got together. The one guy, I think his name's Dave, and the girl is like, I want to say Lauren. I can't remember.
Can we also talk about how they all look the fucking same?
Oh my God, I know. But this guy in particular, as soon as he was cast and he came on the show, I like the way he talked.
Which guy was he? Was it the? See, I can't even remember their names.
He's
Where's
maybe
my phone? Where's my
pull up the couples, Rose. I'll show you.
Show me.
Because guys, we're probably not going to talk about it, to be honest.
Yeah, like, I don't think we can do an episode because I can't even fucking watch it.
It's so bad. I'll just say my piece about this one couple, and then we'll finish for today. But honestly, it's painful because like at least previous ones there was some fucking, you know.
Yeah, it's so boring. Maybe it's the Minnesota guys. What the fuck is going on over there? Is it this guy? Yes, I knew. This guy seems shady as fuck.
So Dave and Lauren. So I was right. Surprisingly, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
So basically, they're this couple, and honestly, Dave from day one, even when he was in the pods before he started dating anyone, I was like, this guy's a dick.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anyone. He wants to be on the show. He seems really fucking shady, like from day one. Anyway, him and Lauren ended up together, and they're out in the real world now. And oh my God, the scenes with him and Lauren are so frustrating because I'm like, Lauren, just fucking leave this guy. He's a psycho. Because basically, he said that his friends were friends with this guy that had allegedly dated Lauren before she got on the show. And his friends were saying like she was dating him for 2 months right up until the show started. And then she like ended the relationship with this guy and then went on the show.
Okay.
So Dave's like, I just don't know what to believe or trust because like who dates somebody and then goes on the show? And Lauren goes, I wasn't fucking dating him. It was and her friends were there and other people. And she's like, it was literally like a guy that I was like casually hooking up with. It was like a friend with benefits kind of thing. And she's like, obviously it didn't work with this guy. And that's why I was on the fucking show. And he's like, well, I just can't get over it. I can't get over it. Like, who does that? And she's like, how? And then she was like, they were supposed to meet his friends and they got into this big fight. And then his friends were going to come to their place for dinner. And then she's like, well, am I ever going to be able to defend myself in front of your friends? Like talking all of this shit. She's like, you're literally taking their side. You haven't even met this guy. Everyone's just believing on his side. Everyone's just believing what this guy is saying about her. And he could be talking complete shit. Like, I don't know. And she's actually seems like a really nice, genuine person. And like, she's not making herself look good on the show by saying she had a fuck buddy. You know what I mean? She was like basically telling him how it was. And he's being so slimy and skeezy about it. And she's like, look, tell me now, like, do you want this to work? Like, you have to meet me in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, or trust me.
Well, what's the problem? That he doesn't believe that she's on the show for genuine reasons.
And he feels like he questions her motive, because who like fucks someone 48 hours before going on the show and meeting, basically.
I don't know, single people?
Exactly. And he's like, and then
fuck off.
And then she was like, yeah, it was nothing. Her friends never even met this guy. Like, that's how unserious they were. And then she goes, well, did you not flirt with someone at a bar like a day or two before coming on this show? And he's like, well, yeah, but that's different. She's like, okay.
It's like, if you can't get over it, just break up with me.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Oh my God, they make me so frustrated.
Yeah, it's like, okay, why are we even having this conversation?
Yeah, but then there is one. Yeah. Anyway, that's it, guys.
Sorry,
we'll leave it
guys,
there.
we can't do a Love Is Blind season 8 episode because the producers, they fucked up.
They fucked up on the casting.
And
There's
also,
not enough drama.
The way that, why did they like make the pod episodes 1 million episodes?
Probably because there was no content. Sorry. Probably because there was no content.
Oh my God.
Interesting content when they got out of the pods anyway. So they're like, well, we'll have to stretch the pods out because there's no fucking interesting thing happening later.
I don't understand. Minneapolis,
I
get
know.
your shit together. Where's the drama?
I know. Where is the fucking drama? Okay. I'm sure it will. Hopefully it will come at some point, but apparently not.
All right, you guys.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode.
Yes. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep. As we mentioned, we're going to be doing an episode every single week.
Yes. Back to the weekly episode.
We are, except one is going to be just for our memberships only. So if you're on the YouTube memberships, which we've launched, and, thank you for all of those that have joined so far.
Yes.
We also have, obviously, our Patreon membership. So either way, both of those get access to exclusive content, ad-free content, and you get all content a week before the general public as well, which is great. And you get a shout out. So check those out. Links in the show notes. I believe there are still some spots for the Canadian Rockies.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's 6 or 7, I think, spots. So yes, we are doing a Canadian Rockies hiking and camping trip that's happening in August. Me and Daniel are hosting it.
Yep.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun. So if you guys want to join us for the Canadian Rockies trip, that'll be linked below. And if you want to join me for a Mexico City vegan food tour, that is also available for booking. So that'll be linked below as well.
When that happen?
That's going to be in May. So it's coming up. So if you want to come, make sure you book it now. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. And
catch you next week.
Exactly. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.